We know that according to Kirchhoff's first law, in which we studied in our previous class, the algebraic sum of the currents at node or junction of any electrical network is always equal to 0. So that is what we understood about the Kirchhoff's first law, also known as Kirchhoff's current law. That means, suppose if I consider several number of conductors meeting at a point, say for example, I am going to consider now 5 conductor. You can consider any number of conductor, minimum 2 conductors must be there in order to state the Kirchhoff's current law or first law. So if I mark the currents in different conductor or in different resistors or in different wires in different direction randomly, I1, I2, I3, then I4, I5, and this is nothing but junction. Junction means it is a point in an electrical network where 2 or more than 2 conductors meet. Here at this point 5 conductors are meeting, therefore I call this point as junction or node. Now, according to the law, sum of the currents at the junction point is equal to 0. That means the same law can be put in other form also. That means total incoming current equal to total outgoing current. So let us write algebraic sum of the currents at a junction in an electrical network is equal to 0. That means it can be written as sigma I as equal to 0. This is the statement of a current law, and we studied and we understood about this law in detail. So the same law can be expressed in another form also. That means total incoming current equal to total outgoing. What are the incoming currents here? The incoming currents are I1, I3 and I5. Now if I consider the total of all I1 plus I3 plus I5 incoming current, total incoming current equal to total outgoing. Outgoing means current moving away from the junction. Incoming means current moving towards the junction. Outgoing are I2 and I4. So you consider outgoing currents total, that is I2 plus I4. Okay. So the same law, this law can be expressed in this form also. Total incoming equal to total outgoing, and we also know that this law signifies the law of conservation of charge. That means whatever amount of charge that enters into the junction in a given time interval, same amount of charge goes out of the junction or flows out of the junction through different resistor in same time interval. So that is why it signifies the law of conservation of charge. Significance means importance. It signifies means the importance of Kirchhoff's first law is nothing but the law of conservation of charge. Now let us consider the second law. This is the second law, which is known as Kirchhoff's voltage law, Kirchhoff's second law, mesh rule, or this can also be expressed as voltage law. So in short form, it is written like this: Kirchhoff's voltage law. Okay. What is the statement? First, let us consider this statement. Algebraic sum of IR products of different branches. Here I have taken one loop A, B, C, D. So ABCDA is a loop. In this loop, how many branches are there? Branch 1, branch 2, branch 3, branch 4. Any portion between two junction is known as branch in an electrical network. Any portion between two node point or between two junction point. This is one junction, another junction, third junction, finally fourth junction. So 4 junction points or 4 nodes are there. How many loops are there? Only one loop is there. A, B, C, D, A. Now, in each branch, I have taken resistor, that means conductor. In some branches, I have included or I have connected the cells. Say for example, in the branch 2, that means BC, I have included a cell, that means I connect one cell whose EMF is E1. In the 4th branch, once again, I connect one more cell whose EMF is E2. If I mind, I can connect 2 more cells to branch 1 and branch 2. So for all the branches, we can include or connect the cell. But for simplicity, for the sake of simplicity, what I have done is, I have taken only 2 cells to understand this very easily. According to the law, algebraic sum of IR products. IR product means what? Product of current and resistance. Now, suppose if I consider the product of current and resistance of the branch AB, what is that? I1 into R1. What is the product of current and resistance of the branch BC? It is nothing but I2 into R2. So this is IR product. This is IR product. Okay. Of branch 3, what is the IR product? I3 R3 is the IR product. Branch 4, that is AD, IR product is R4 and as well as I4. So according to the law, the IR products of different branches, IR product of this and also this. Sum, that is very important, sum of IR products of different branches of a loop would be equal to the sum of EMFs. Okay, sum of EMFs. So this is the loop. Let us write this loop as A, B, C, D, A. You start from any point, travel only in one direction and come back to the same point. See, whenever you want to apply the second rule to any electrical mesh or the loop, start from any one of the point, either from A you can start or from B, even from C also you can start. But from whichever point you start, you come back to the same point but move only in one direction, either in the clockwise direction or in the anti-clockwise direction. Don't forget this. Then, while considering the IR product and also EMF, we make use of once again sign convention. As we applied the sign convention to the first law. What the sign convention applied to the first law? Incoming currents are taken as positive. What are the incoming current? I1, this is positive. Then I3, positive. Then I5, positive. So these are the positive currents. Current flowing to incoming is towards the junction are taken as positive, whereas current flowing out of the junction, they are taken as negative. I2 is negative, I4 is also negative. So that's the sign convention we applied while writing this equation with respect to the Kirchhoff's first law or current law. In the same manner, we have to apply the sign convention to write the equation according to the law, and we have to apply the sign convention both for IR product and as well as for EMF. You go through the statement. In the statement, it states that sum of IR products, all IR products of all branches of the loop, that should be equal to sum of all EMFs of the loop. That is the statement. Now, what's the sign convention to be followed here? This is the sign convention in which we have to follow to write the equation according to the statement of this law. IR product is taken as positive. But when it is taken as positive, suppose if we traverse or travel all along the resistor in the direction of current. I repeat again, if we traverse all along the resistor or conductor in the direction of flow of current, then IR product of that branch is taken as positive. If we traverse along the resistor or wire or conductor, if we traverse along the resistor, wire or conductor in the direction of current, in the direction of current, okay. Similarly now, IR product is taken as negative when IR product is taken as negative when means if we traverse along the resistor or conductor or wire, if we traverse along the resistor opposite to the direction of current, opposite to the direction of current. So this is sign convention with respect to IR product. What about the sign convention to be followed with respect to the EMFs of the cell? Now, EMF is taken as positive when if we move from negative terminal to positive terminal, negative terminal to positive terminal of a cell, okay. Similarly here EMF is taken as negative. When it is taken as negative, EMF of the cell, it is taken as negative if we move from positive to negative terminal of a cell. So remember this sign convention carefully. Of course, the sign convention can also be used in different forms. So there are different way of applying the sign convention. In whatever manner you apply the sign convention, the result remains to be same. That means the final equation remains to be same. So this is one method in which I am following to write the equation. By using the sign convention, now let us write the equation with respect to this loop. In the loop A, B, C, D, A, this is the loop I am going to consider. Now, I start from one point, which is the starting point here. I start from A, come back to the same point. So, from starting point to the ending point, which are one and the same here, move only in one direction. That means either in clockwise or in anti-clockwise. Now, what I do means, I move like this in the clockwise direction. From which point? From the point A, and I come back to the same point in the same direction, clockwise direction. So, by following this method, I write equation, one mathematical equation by using this sign convention. Start from A and go to B. A to B I am moving, that means I am traveling all along the resistor, and in this branch AB the current is also in the same direction. Therefore, here what happens here, IR product now becomes, this IR product now becomes positive. Why it is positive? Because I am moving all along the resistor and in the same direction current is also flowing, therefore IR product is positive. Then next I move from B to C. While moving from B to C, follow the same direction, don't change the direction in the middle. While moving from B to C, I am moving downwards all along this branch or along this resistor, whereas in this branch current is flowing opposite to my direction of traverse. Means I am moving downwards whereas current is flowing upwards. Therefore, what about the IR product of this branch? IR product of this branch is taken as negative. Again continue from C to D. A to B is over, B to C is over, C to D. While moving from C to D, I move like this, whereas current is flowing in the opposite direction. If I travel along the resistor towards left side, whereas current is flowing towards right side, both are opposite. Therefore, here the product of current and resistance in this case is nothing but negative. Now, finally move from D and come back to the same point, starting point, which is nothing but A. So, start from D, come back to the same point. While moving like this all along this branch, the current is flowing in our direction of traverse. I am moving upwards, that means we are traveling upwards all along this branch. Current is also flowing in the same direction. Therefore, in this case here IR product, this IR product is taken as positive. So, this is how sign convention is applied with respect to IR product. Let us write that from A to B. What is IR product? I1 R1. According to the law, sum of IR product. Okay. Therefore, I consider plus. Next, I move from B to C. If I move from B to C, so current is opposite to us. We are moving downwards, whereas current is opposite to us. Therefore, IR product in this branch is negative. Therefore, it is minus I2 R2. Okay. Then, move from C to D. If you move from C to D like this, in this branch IR product, that means I3 R3 is negative. Because we are moving like this, current is flowing opposite to us. Therefore, I3 plus I write according to the law, sum of IR product, therefore I write plus. Using sign convention, I write this IR product as negative. I3 R3 which is minus. Okay. Then, finally, move from D to A. D to A. Okay. In this branch, what is IR product? I4 R4. It is positive. Okay. So, plus I4 R4, it is positive. So, this is the thing but total IR product. And according to the law, this should be equal to total EMF or sum of EMF. Now, let us once again apply the sign convention to EMF. Look here, EMF is taken as positive and also negative according to these conditions. Once again, to write the total EMF of this loop, I start from same point, that means from A, I move towards B. Okay. In this branch, there is no cell. Therefore, here EMF is equal to 0. Next, move from B to C. While moving from B to C, there is one cell in this branch, in the branch BC, whose EMF is E1. Then whether this EMF should be taken as positive or negative, this EMF now should be taken as, look here, this EMF should be taken as now negative according to the sign convention, because look here, EMF is positive when we move from negative terminal to positive terminal. But here in this branch, while moving from B to C, we encounter first the positive terminal. That means we come across first the positive terminal, not the negative terminal. If we come across first the positive terminal, it means that we are moving from positive to negative terminal, because we are moving like this from positive to negative. If that's the case, then according to this, EMF is negative because we move from positive to negative terminal. Positive to negative terminal of the cell. Therefore, this EMF should be taken as this EMF should be taken as now negative, remember. Okay, so this becomes now minus, this becomes now minus E1, minus E1. So I write that it's equal to minus E1. Okay, next continue traveling along the same direction, that means in the clockwise direction itself. We moved from A to B, no cell, therefore EMF is 0. Next we moved from B to C, there is a cell whose EMF is negative. Next we move from C to D, here there is no cell, therefore here once again what happens to EMF in this branch? EMF is once again equal to 0 since cell is absent in this branch. Now move from D to A. While moving from D to A, we first come across negative terminal, then we come across positive terminal. It means that we are moving from negative terminal to positive terminal. We are encountering or we are facing first the negative terminal. So if we move from negative to positive terminal, according to this, look here, if we move from negative terminal to positive terminal, then EMF of the cell should be taken as positive. So therefore here this EMF is taken as positive, that means it is plus E2. Let us rewrite this equation now. I1 R1 plus into minus, minus I2 R2 plus into minus, minus I3 R3, then plus I4 R4, okay, equal to, this can be written as E2 minus E1, E2 minus E1, okay. Now this is the exact or correct equation which is written according to the sign convention, and this can also be written in this form, sigma, which indicates total sum of IR product, that means sigma IR. Sigma IR means I1 R1 plus I2 R2 plus I3 R3 plus so on, equal to sigma EMF. Sigma E means total EMF, E1 plus E2 plus E3 and so on. So instead of writing plus plus plus, we represent the total by means of summation sign. Okay, so this is summation IR and this is summation of E. What does the Kirchhoff's second law signifies? That means what is the importance of Kirchhoff's second law? Kirchhoff's second law importance or signification is nothing but law of conservation of energy, whereas Kirchhoff's first law significance is nothing but law of conservation of charge. So here it signifies the law of conservation of energy, okay. See, why means, let us consider like this. Suppose if I consider the definition of EMF and as well as potential difference. I consider one circuit, simple circuit like this, consisting of a resistor connected to a cell through a plug key. This resistor R is connected to a cell through a plug key, okay. Now AB is the resistor. What is the terminal potential difference or potential difference across the resistor AB, whose resistance is R? By inserting the key, what happens? Current starts flowing. Conventional current is always from positive terminal to negative terminal. Opposite to this conventional current, electron starts flowing. That means electron starts flowing from negative terminal like this, okay. So energy supplied by the cell to pass 1 coulomb of charge between the two ends of the resistor or conductor, that means from point B to point A, one end of the resistor to another end of the resistor just to pass 1 coulomb of charge. 1 coulomb of charge, whatever energy the cell has to supply for the electrons, that amount of energy is nothing but potential difference across AB. So I can write this in a simplest form. Energy supplied by the cell to pass 1 coulomb of charge, okay, between the two ends of the resistor. Okay, then what about this is nothing but potential difference. Potential difference or terminal potential difference. What about EMF? EMF is also nothing but energy supplied by the cell to pass 1 coulomb of charge from negative terminal to positive terminal. From negative terminal to positive terminal means around the complete circuit. Terminal to terminal to pass 1 coulomb of charge, how much of energy the cell has to supply for the electrons, that amount of energy is nothing but EMF. So EMF is also defined as energy supplied to pass 1 coulomb of charge between negative terminal to positive terminal of the cell. Okay. Then what is the difference? What difference it makes between EMF and potential difference? Energy supplied. Okay. So energy supplied. Here also energy supplied. What is the amount of charge? 1 coulomb. Here also 1 coulomb of charge. But here 1 coulomb of charge is passed between the two ends of the resistor. But here 1 coulomb of charge is passed between the negative terminal to positive terminal. That means from one terminal to another terminal or around the complete circuit. That's the only difference. Terminal to terminal to pass 1 coulomb of charge, energy required or supplied is nothing but EMF. Only from one end of the conductor to another end of the conductor to pass 1 coulomb of charge, energy supplied or required is nothing but potential difference. So overall terminal potential difference is also energy supplied. Therefore EMF is also energy supplied. Therefore this sigma IR, this can be written as sigma V, potential difference, V equal to I into R according to Ohm's law, equal to sigma E. So this is also energy, this is also energy. So left hand side energy is equal to right hand side energy. That means the magnitude of the energy both on left hand side and right hand side remains to be same. If the energy on the left hand side is, let us say, 10 joules, the energy on the right hand side will be also equal to 10 joules. So total energy remains to be constant. So that is the significance or importance of the Kirchhoff's second law. Wheatstone's bridge. What is meant by Wheatstone's bridge? Wheatstone's bridge is nothing but a mathematical model, or it is an arrangement which is used to find unknown resistance in terms of other resistances. That means Wheatstone is the name of the British physicist who proposed this mathematical model or this type of circuit which is used to find any one of the resistance. Here we have 4 resistances, P, Q, R and S. Out of 4, we can find any one of the resistance by making use of Kirchhoff's laws. That means Kirchhoff's voltage law and also Kirchhoff's current law. So that is why we write this as an arrangement to find or to determine an unknown resistance in terms of other resistances. Other resistances means remaining 3. Suppose if I want to find the value of S, the value of S resistances can be determined by means of other 3 resistances. What are those? P, Q and as well as R. Let us now consider the entire circuit. What are the other things present in this circuit apart from 4 resistances? Look here, P, Q, R, S are the resistances of the 4 resistor connected in the quadrilateral form. Okay. Between B and D, there is one branch which consists of galvanometer. Whereas between A and C, there is one more branch which consists of cell and as well as plug key. Let us find out how many nodes are there and how many loops or meshes are there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 node points or 4 junctions are there. A, B, C, D are the 4 junctions or the nodes, because at each of this point more than 2 conductors are meeting. Then how many loops or meshes are there? Suppose if I remove this, time being if I just separate this resistance branch from the cell and the plug key, then in this how many loops or meshes are there? Left side, this forms one loop. Right side, this forms another loop. That means A, B, D, A is one loop. Then B, C, D, B is another loop. So A, B, D, A. From whichever point you start, come back to the same point. This is loop 1, left side triangular loop. Right side triangular loop, B, C, D, B, BC, DB. This is one more loop. And also, let's consider one more loop, A, B, C, D, A. Okay, A, B, C, D, A. So this forms another loop, A, B, C, D, A. So without the branch of the cell and the plug key, in this we come across 3 loops are there. Okay, whereas A, B, C and D are nothing but nodes or junction. Okay, 4 junctions are there. Now let us pass the current. That means I reconnect the point A and C with this branch in order to pass the current. Now the conventional current starts flowing from positive terminal. Let I be the main current. Then this current, after entering into this junction, that means soon after reaching this junction point A, this splits into 2 parts. One part is nothing but I1, okay, which flows through the resistance, which flows through the resistor of resistance P, and one more part of the main current I is nothing but I2, and this current I2 flows through R. Again at the point B, which current reaches? I1 flows through P and reaches B. At the point B, this I1 once again splits into 2 parts. Part of the current from I1 flows through the galvanometer. Let us call that current as IG. IG. So G stands for a galvanometer. Then remaining part of the current of I1 flows through the resistor of resistance Q, and that current is nothing but I3. Okay. Now what happens? Current I got split into two parts, I1 and I2. I1 flows through P, I2 flows through R. Again here the current I1 which reaches B splits into two parts. One part flows through galvanometer known as Ig and the other part flows through the resistor of resistance Q known as I3. This current after flowing through the galvanometer reaches the point D. Okay, and one more current which is flowing through R also reaches the point D. So from here Ig reaches D, from here I2 reaches D. So Ig and I2 both at the point D. Both the current Ig and as well as I2 meet at the point D. Together forms one more current, nothing but I4 which flows through S. Finally at the point C, I3 and I4 reaches, and thereby at the point C these two current I3 and I4 together once again forms the main current nothing but equal to I. So this is how we can branch out the main current I, or you can split the main current I into this network or into this electrical circuit. So here you have to observe one more thing here. Resistance PQ, RS are not connected in the cyclic order, are connected all these resistors in non-cyclic order. What does it mean? PQ. If the resistors are said to be connected in cyclic, then after Q, here the resistor R should be there, but written R here and S here. That is the meaning of non-cyclic. If it is cyclic, then we should have to write R here and S here. Now it will be in one order. That is nothing but cyclic. P, Q, R, S. That's cyclic. But I consider this resistance as S and this resistance as R. And look here, the resistance PQ, P and Q are known as this RM resistance and this RM resistance are known as ratio RMs. So resistances P and Q are nothing but ratio RMs. Okay, then what about the resistance R of the branch AD? We call this as standard RM because this is one of the standard resistance, standard value of resistance we are going to connect here. So therefore R is nothing but standard RM. Resistance R is nothing but standard RM. What about the resistance S of the branch DC? This is nothing but unknown RM. Unknown RM. Okay. So these two branch resistance are known as ratio RM. This branch resistance is known as standard RM, and this branch resistance is nothing but unknown RM. RM or branch, both these are taken in the same sense, that means almost in the same meaning. Now what happens when the current flows through the galvanometer? The galvanometer shows the deflection. Here I make use of the letter G as a common letter to indicate both the galvanometer device and also its resistance. Galvanometer has also got its own resistance known as internal resistance. And what is the resistance of this galvanometer? It is represented as G. And here galvanometer is a current sensitive device. Why this galvanometer is used in this circuit means it is used to detect the flow of current and also the direction of the current. In any electrical circuit, we are using galvanometer means what is its function? Its function is to indicate whether current is flowing in the circuit or not. If so, that means if current is flowing in a circuit, then in which direction, along which direction the current is flowing, it's also indicated by means of this galvanometer. So it is used to indicate the direction of current and also used to detect the flow of current. Now let us apply the Kirchhoff's laws, current law and voltage law. Current law is applied to the node point, whereas voltage law is applied to the mesh or the loop. So applying Kirchhoff's laws. Okay. Now what's the purpose of applying the Kirchhoff's laws? Because we have to determine unknown resistance. Which is unknown here? Resistance S is taken as unknown. If I want to determine this resistance in terms of other three resistances, then I have to build up one equation, mathematical equation. In order to build up or set up that mathematical equation, we need to use the Kirchhoff's current law and voltage law. And this is nothing but the condition for balance. So it is one of the standard derivation to obtain the condition for balance in a Wheatstone's bridge or Wheatstone's network. Instead of bridge, we can also make use of the word network. Okay. So let us write that condition for balance. Condition for balance. So this is what we are going to now determine using the Kirchhoff's laws. First, I apply the current law to the node points B and D. Applying, I write it in a short form, Kirchhoff's current law to the node B. What do we get the equation now? Total incoming current should be equal to total outgoing current. What are the incoming currents to the point B? Incoming current is only I1. What are the outgoing currents? There are two outgoing current. One is I3 and another one is IG. So total incoming equal to total outgoing. So to the node B means incoming current is nothing but I1. Outgoing currents are I3 from B and IG from the same point B. So sum of outgoing I3 plus IG. Okay. Now once again I apply the same Kirchhoff's current law to the node D. To the node D. Okay. What do we get now? Total incoming should be equal to total outgoing. What are the incoming currents to the point D? IG through galvanometer, I2 through the resistance R. So IG plus I2 are the total incoming. Outgoing is nothing but I4 equal to I4. Okay. Now I applied Kirchhoff's current law. Let us apply now Kirchhoff's voltage law to the mesh or the loop. For the two loops I am going to apply, one for the loop ABDA and again for the loop BCDB, and we write two equations. So Kirchhoff's applying Kirchhoff's voltage law. For the loop ABDA, I simply write arrow like this. What does it mean? This is not the direction of current, because the direction of current in different branches is different. So this indicates only the direction of motion. That means throughout this loop, left side triangular loop, I move in clockwise direction. That's the meaning of this. So I start from A and I go to B. First let us write the loop. KVL to the loop. To the loop, which is that loop? A, B, D, A. A, B, D, A. Now start from A, go to B. I start from A and I move towards B like this. I am traveling along this resistor in this direction, whereas current is also flowing in the same direction. My direction of traverse and the flow of current, direction of flow of current are one and the same. Therefore, IR product of this branch, this I1 into P, that should be positive. So, I1 into P, positive, plus what is the statement of Kirchhoff's voltage law? Algebraic sum of IR products should be equal to sum of EMFs. Next, I move from B to D. Okay, I move from B to D. I am moving downwards. Current is also flowing downwards. Therefore, product of current and distance of this branch, product of current and distance of this branch, it is once again positive, Ig into G. So, this is nothing but positive because flow of current and our direction of traverse are one and the same. So, plus Ig into G. Okay. Then, I move from D finally to point A. That means from D to A, I move like this. I am traveling upwards whereas current is flowing downwards. If I move upwards, current is flowing downwards. Therefore, product of current and distance of this branch AD is nothing but negative. Therefore, I write this as minus I2 into R. Okay. This should be equal to total EMF. What is the total EMF here? Look here. Once again, start from A, go to B. No cell in this branch. Therefore, EMF is 0. Once again, start from B and go to the point D. All along this branch also no cell, only galvanometer is there. Therefore, in this branch also EMF is 0. Again, move from D to A. In this branch also no cell, cell is absent. Therefore, EMF is 0. 0 plus 0 plus 0 is once again 0. So, total EMF of this entire loop is equal to 0. Now, I apply once again Kirchhoff's voltage law to the mesh BC DB. Even in this loop also, I move in clockwise direction itself. Remember, moving along clockwise direction is not mandatory. Okay. So, we can move in this loop even in anti-clockwise direction also. But for uniformity sake, what I do means in both the meshes, I move in clockwise direction. In one loop, I can move in clockwise. In the other loop, I can travel in the anti-clockwise. So, even then also we get the final equation one and the same. But as I said, to make ourselves simple, let us consider the direction of traverse in both the loops is along clockwise direction. So, let us write applying KVL to the loop, which is the loop now B, C, D, B. B, C, D, B. Okay. Then start from B, go to C. Look here. If I move from B to C, I am moving downwards. Current is also flowing downwards. Therefore, product of current and distance, this should be positive. Okay. So, I3Q is positive. Then plus, why should I consider plus? Because sum of IR product I should have to consider. Therefore, next, move from C to D. Look here. I moved from B to C, it is over. Now, move from C to D. While moving from C to D, look here, I am traveling downwards, whereas current is flowing upwards. Therefore, product of current and distance of this branch, that means S into I4, this product, it should be now negative. Let us write that. So, I4 plus of minus means minus I4 into S. This is negative. I4 into S. Now, move from D and come back to B. I move from D and I reach the same point B. Then what happens? Look here. I am moving upwards, whereas current is flowing downwards. So, my direction of travel is upwards, whereas flow of current is in downward direction. Therefore, product of current and distance of these two should be negative. Okay. So, this should be negative. So, I write this as plus into minus. It is minus. Current is Ig. What is the resistance of this branch? Galvanometer resistance, which is equal to G, capital G. Therefore, minus Ig into G. This should be equal to EMF. What is the total EMF? Along this branch, there is no cell. Therefore, no EMF. It is 0. All along this branch, no cell, EMF is 0. Once again, along this branch, no cell, EMF is 0. 0 plus 0 plus 0 is once again equal to 0. Okay. So, now we have with us 4 equations. 2 from Kirchhoff's current law and 2 from Kirchhoff's voltage law. Let us call this as equation 1, equation 2 and this as equation 3 and equation 4. Now what I do means, I adjust the value of the resistance R. Adjust the value of the resistance R in such a way that the potential difference between the point B and D should become equal to 0. In such a way, the value or the magnitude of the resistance R should be adjusted. So, if once the potential difference between B and D becomes equal to 0, what happens to the current Ig? The current Ig becomes equal to 0, because we know very well that current always flows from one point to another point only if there is a potential difference between those 2 points. If these 2 points remains at same potential on adjusting the value of R, then potential difference becomes equal to 0. That means if the point B is at, let us say, 2 volt, again if the point D is also at, let us say, 2 volt, both are at the same potential, points B and D, then what is the potential difference between B and D? So, potential difference between B and D now becomes equal to 2 minus 2, difference means minus, cancels, which becomes equal to 0. Then once the potential difference becomes equal to 0, then current flowing through galvanometer also becomes 0 and galvanometer shows no deflection. That means there will be now null deflection. That means the pointer of the galvanometer stands exactly vertical. So, this indicates null deflection or 0 deflection. This happens when? Only when the potential difference between B and D is 0. So, let us write this like this. Adjust the value of R, such that the potential difference between B and D becomes 0, so that current flowing through galvanometer becomes 0 and hence galvanometer shows 0 deflection, also known as null deflection. If that's the case, then what happens to the equation 1, equation 2, equation 3 and equation 4? Let us rewrite all those equations by putting the value of Ig as equal to 0 in all these 4. So, now equation 1 becomes now I1 equal to, so this Ig is completely 0. So, this becomes equal to 0. So, what is left with us? I1 equal to I3. Now, what happens to equation 2? Ig is completely 0. Therefore, now I2 becomes equal to I4. I2 becomes equal to I4. What happens in this equation? Look here, Ig is 0 means this entire thing becomes equal to now 0. If entire thing becomes equal to 0, then what is left with as I1P minus I2R. If you shift minus I2R to this side, then what is left here? I1P should be equal to, I1P should be equal to, this becomes equal to 0. Now we are shifting this to this side, this becomes I2R. Okay, and finally to equation 4. Here this entire term becomes equal to now 0. Okay, this becomes equal to 0. So what is left on left hand side? I3Q minus I4S. Shift this I4S to this side, therefore I3Q becomes equal to I4S. Okay, so on substituting the value of Ij equal to 0, all these 4 equation reduces to this form. Next, what I do means, look here, I divide one by the other. That means I1P, this entire equation is divided by this. So I1P divided by I3Q, okay, equal to I2R divided by I4S. Again, I make one substitution. What is the substitution? We know that I1 is equal to I3. So for I1, what I do? I substitute for this as equal to I3P. Retain this as it is. Don't make any changes to this. This is equal to. Once again for I2, I substitute R. So if I substitute for I2 as equal to I4, then I4 into R divided by retain denominator as it is. Now I3 gets cancelled, I4 get cancelled. What is left finally? Finally we have with us P by Q equal to R by S. So this is the condition for balance. So condition for balance. So ratio of upper arm resistance, look here, these two are upper arm, whereas R and S are considered as lower arm. Upper arm and lower arm. P by Q means it is the ratio of upper arm resistance. This ratio should be equal to the ratio of lower arm resistance. It means P by Q should be equal to R by S. Okay, this is the condition for balance. Now if you want to determine the value of unknown resistance S, if I consider S as unknown, if I assume S as unknown, what is the value of S from this equation now? The value of S from this equation, S equal to cross multiply Q by P into R. This is unknown resistance which can be determined from the condition for balance. See, in the beginning I told you that resistance PQRS are connected in non-cyclic order. Since all resistors are connected in non-cyclic order, now expressing the equation P by Q will be equal to R by S is easy to remember. Suppose if we connect all the resistors in cyclic order means instead of considering this resistance as S, if I consider this as R and this resistance as S, then for the cyclic order of connection of the resistances, what will be the condition for balance? The condition for balance will be P by Q equal to S by R. So this is for non-cyclic arrangement. Sorry, this is for cyclic arrangement of resistances, and this is for non-cyclic. Both are nothing but condition for balance. This is also condition for balance, this is also condition for balance. Only difference is this is for cyclic arrangement of resistance and this is for non-cyclic arrangement of resistances. Okay.